Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in the Going Deep segment, brought to you by CO2 Lift. In our Expert on the Microphone series today, we are joined by a powerhouse panel chatting menopause, a transition that every woman will face, yet one that remains widely misunderstood and often dismissed. With over 1.3 million women in the U.S. entering menopause each year, the impact is undeniable. From hot flashes to brain fog, mood swings to bone density loss, menopause is a physiological transformation that affects not just our bodies, but our confidence, our energy, and our overall well-being. Joining me today is Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon, OBGYN, and founder of the Polished Beauty podcast, a true advocate for women's health. We also have Lana Kerr, the visionary behind Lumis Skincare, home of CO2 Lift, helping women navigate menopause with confidence and care. And of course, our headliner guest, Tracey Monique. Tracey is a best-selling author, a podcaster, and an alopecia advocate. Tracey's TikTok video of her experiencing a hot flash in the middle of a sports game where steam was literally rising from her scalp went viral, sparking a much-needed global conversation on menopause. Tracey uses her platform to shed light on topics often left out in the shadows. Joining me now is the incredible powerhouse panel. Welcome to the show, superstars.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Tracey, let's start with that viral moment, your TikTok video where we see steam visibly rising from your head, resonating with millions. In fact, hot flashes are one of the most common symptoms of menopause, affecting up to 80% of women, yet they remain widely misunderstood. What was going through your mind when you saw just how many women related to your experience?
I was just at all. First of all, I didn't think the video was going to go viral, for one. For two, when people started, commenting about how they experienced that, but it wasn't a visual. But I was used for people to see that it's actually something that we go through. You get hot on the inside, and sometimes you're just so hot, you don't even know how to control the heat. It's just, you're sweating, you're hot. You just want to rip your clothes off, but I'm just grateful that I was used to show people that this is a real thing and it's something that we really need to discuss.
Yes, without a doubt. Of course, after that visual went viral, you definitely want to talk about addressing just that, the steam coming off your head. Dr. Daisy, let's break this down scientifically, okay? A hot flash isn't just a fleeting moment of heat. It's a biological response caused by hormonal fluctuations. You, of course, know this. Studies show that as estrogen declines, the hypothalamus, the body's internal thermostat, becomes hypersensitive, mistakenly thinking the body is overheating. Can you explain what's happening in the body during a hot flash and why some women experience them more severely than others?
Your brain normally, estrogen works at this thermocenter to balance our body temperature. So the decline of estrogen causes our brain to kind of misfires. And when this occurs, you have this acute vasodilation, which basically means your blood vessels are dilated, usually underneath your skin surface area. So this causes this internal heat and flushing feeling where you're just feeling they say warmth, but I say hot, because if you experience this, it feels like you're burning inside. And then your body is reacting to it. So by it trying to cool down the overwhelming heat you have, you sort of have like sweating. And then once the sweating dissipates, then you start having kind of like this chills and coldness that you have afterwards. So physiologically, your body is just trying to understand what is going on. And Tracy's video just basically captured that moment so beautifully. And there are different reasons why women will have more than others. The number one reason is genetics, right? Some women are just predisposed to have more severe symptoms based on genes. The second thing is metabolism and body composition. The more fat distribution you have, the more intense your experience with hot flashes is. The other thing is lifestyle factors. Those lifestyle factors could be smoking, alcohol, spicy foods. Those could be triggers for you to have this hot flashes moment. Another thing is just medical conditions. If you have a thyroid disorder, this can be a trigger for you to have excessive hot flashes moment as well. And lastly is ethnicity, which basically means, Black, Latino women that tend to have more intense and longer episodes of hot flashes compared to our Asian and white counterparts.
Wow, being a woman is so much fun. From giving birth and feeling like every bone in your body is breaking from vaginal delivery to an infernal burning inside of you. Yeah, I mean, this is like welcome to the club, ladies. Imagine, right? How easy men have it. So Lana, menopause is more than just these hot flashes. We've been saying this for the last 6 months, especially in all our expert segments. It impacts everything from skin elasticity to hydration levels and even how we heal. Your work with CO2 Lift, especially CO2 Lift vaginal rejuvenation treatment, has focused on restoring skin and vaginal health, two areas that are dramatically affected by menopause. What role do regenerative treatments like CO2 Lift and CO2 Lift V play in helping women feel more comfortable and confident during this transition?
I like to use the analogy of a grape and a raisin. We start off this beautiful grape full of water, bouncy, and we're not only talking about the skin on our face, we're talking about our vulva skin, our vaginal tissue. And then we turn into this raisin, this dried up structure. We fortunately have the technology that slows that process down. So let's just talk about down there. There are a couple things that happen. We're talking about our blood flow, our blood supply slows down, which affects the ability of our clitoris to function optimally. Our tissue in our vaginal tissue gets thinner and drier, just like the skin under our eyes. And so that's going to lead to more painful sex, less pleasure in sex, and then also painful sex. And also, too, we can experience where you cough and you sneeze and then you'll pee. And then our pH goes off. So we'll find we're more susceptible to infections. The CO2 lift is very, very good at combating all those different symptoms because we're talking about hydration. You're going to see it immediately on the skin, even down there. That tissue is going to plump up, as well as the fact that we're going to experience better orgasms because we're increasing blood supply very quickly. Then our tissue is going to get thick, so it feels more like a pillow for our partner or whatever we're putting inside, like this cushion. And then of course we're getting less infection. So it's something that I like it as a great tool for once we do the series to bring that back up, and then we just maintain it monthly. We're not talking against lubes. Lubes are something that women use and can be necessary for many women. And sometimes the more lube you use, the better. But it still is not, that is not changing the quality of our tissue. CO2 lift is changing the quality of our tissue. It's something that actually reconditions vulva vaginal skin as well as the skin on our face.
Beautiful. Now, Tracy, back to you. Beyond the humor in your video, there's a deeper conversation happening, and many women commented that they now understand what their mothers went through while others shared their own struggles. Your video became more than just a viral moment. It became an awareness campaign, if you ask me. How has this experience shaped your perspective on menopause advocacy, and what conversations has it sparked for you personally?
It's just sparked a lot of conversation about what do you do to control how you feel? What emotions do you have? What does it feel like? Because I have a daughter, she's 25 years old. So she's going to possibly experience the same thing as I am experiencing now. So it's bringing a lot of awareness to a lot of my peers and my friends. And we kind of discuss options and what kind of options are out there for us to use to control menopause.
Yeah, it's definitely, without a doubt, I'm sure, brought a whirlwind of information and advocacy your way and educated you in ways about yourself that you didn't even know existed, right? Just
Yes.
by sharing your story and having others come into your ecosystem. Now, Dr. Daisy, hot flashes are just one piece of the menopause puzzle. Women also report increased anxiety, brain fog, and even heart palpitations. Research from the Endocrine Society shows that during a hot flash, a woman's heart rate can increase by as much as 16 beats per minute. What are some of the lesser known symptoms of menopause, and what should women be paying attention to?
Number one, burning mouth syndrome. This is a tingling, burning, metallic taste that you may experience. And again, this is due to hormonal shifts and your taste bud changes during menopause, perimenopause years. Number two, I call it itchy, crawly, tingling skin, formication. That happens because of the collagen production that's affected and skin hydration. So that's something that you're going to experience. Number three, electric shock sensation. This is basically having this zap or jolty feelings that you may get, and essentially is due to nerve firing. So that's something that can occur in menopause. Number four, you have your joint and pain stiffness. We've kind of talked about this before, frozen shoulder syndrome, but it's also menopausal arthritis. This is real and it's something that can happen. Number five, you have digestive changes and bloating. We all know that our gut health is the essential part of our being, and the lack of estrogen can definitely affect that as well. So you get like this IBS like symptoms, although it's not a typical IBS. Then you have changes in body odor. That's something that can happen. You can find yourself smelling different, or your perfume doesn't give you the same effect as it used to. That can happen. Increased anxiety and panic attacks, as you mentioned, that's something that's common. Sudden food changes or cravings or aversions, what you used to love, you don't like anymore, and things you didn't like, you love. That happens, your taste bud changes. And then you have this ringing ear. This can happen during menopause. All of a sudden, you feel like your hearing is changing. And lastly, gum and dental disease. So seeing your dentist is very important because around this time, decline in estrogen can cause changes in your dental health as well. So those 10 common symptoms are things that we don't talk about. I know the vaginal symptoms is common, hot flashes is common, the heart is common, but every organ is affected during this time.
Oh my goodness. Well, wow, I don't even know, like, where are the good stuff? Okay, Lana, we're gonna turn to Lana. Let's talk confidence. So so Lana, menopause can be a clear blow to self-esteem. Thanks for that, Dr. Daisy. Weight distribution changes, hair thins, skin losses. It's, all kinds of stuff. The skin is losing its firmness. But a study from the American Menopause Society found that over 60% of women report a decrease in self confidence during menopause. What advice do you have for women struggling to feel like themselves again? And how can they regain a sense of control over their bodies?
Yeah, it was interesting because I was at a longevity summit about a week or so ago, and just talking at dinner with a couple of the women who understand this, and they were explaining the same thing. They just don't feel themselves, and I think first of all, one of the things is information. If you understand what is happening to you, then it helps you to adjust the way you think about it. We have so much information, for instance, going through puberty. So we are, as mothers, I know that Tracy, you have your daughter, Dr. Daisy, Zen, we all have children. I have boys, but our mothers educated us on puberty. Like, we were able to understand what is happening to us. So that helped us to adjust our mindset. So once we pass it, we could have our confidence. I think it's the same thing with this part of our lives. Is first of all, the information, not only the common things that Tracy kind of highlighted, that I talked about earlier, that Dr. Daisy mentioned. When we understand all of those things, and that these are some of the things that can face us, then we understand it. Then it's just a matter of adjusting our mindset. To me, menopause can be, and for me personally, I feel very confident in it. Why? Because I understand, first of all, this part of my life is where I feel most, I have most information, I have life experience. I feel like I don't have to give explanations to people, but it's because I have the information. And then I'm doing the things that are necessary to combat some of those symptoms. So I feel like this for women is a part of life that we want to be at. Yes, we're getting those things, but they will pass. We'll get, some of those symptoms will pass. And then we have the technology that can help us. So definitely it's a mindset shift that we need to all as women feel. I don't even feel it's changing the word. I've heard some people who are big menopause advocates say, oh, they don't like the word. I love the word. It's not about the word. It's what the meaning that we put behind the word. Menopause can equal the time of life, the butterfly time of life, that we all this time were a caterpillar and now we're in the butterfly. And so we can fly and we can soar, we can get the things we don't have children anymore. So it's our time to invest more in ourselves and to just do and accomplish the things that we couldn't because of just our family obligations before. So I think it's definitely a mindset change. And then, of course, availing ourselves to the technology that can help us to deal with these symptoms.
Preach. Amen. Yeah, you said it. No, it's our time. Tracy, I'm going to pivot to you because this is the perfect time. She's talking about confidence. I want to talk about emotional. menopause isn't just physical, right? We know it's emotional, and mood swings and irritability and even depression are more common. Mayo Clinic study found that women going through menopause are at significantly higher risk for anxiety and depression. Now, what has your emotional journey been like? And what advice do you have for women who may be feeling overwhelmed?
Self-care.
Mm.
Get to know who you are as a person. Stop being the person that always trying to fix everyone, but neglect yourself. Do you. Stop trying to worry about what other people think about you. Stop trying to fix everybody. Stop trying to be the do girl. Just enjoy yourself and take care of yourself and get to know who you are. What do you like? What do you want to do? That's what I would say to anyone that is trying to overcome a lot of different things. Like, leave all that other stuff behind and take a good look in the mirror and say, hey, I love you. You're the best. I'm going to work on me and leave everything else alone.
That's great advice. That's great advice. What was your emotional journey like, or what is it currently like?
Well, my emotional journey, I cry. I honestly can say I do cry a lot. And that is because everything that I loved have been kind of stripped away. You know what I mean? Things that was holding on to, um, thinking it was going to make my life better. Um, I'm just right now, I'm at peace though, but I have lots of peace and joy. But as far as emotional, I cry a lot because I'm really getting to understand who I am as a person. And I'm understanding that the people that I poured into and that they couldn't pour back into me, I had to let them go.
Right.
And I have to have acceptance of that, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. This is such a beautiful time if you think of it. It's time to reflect and time
Mhm.
to really roadmap your next chapter. And sometimes that does involve releasing the old and, coming in with the new. And when one door closes, another one opens. And so
Yeah.
that's a great moment to be in because you're full of self awareness. Dr. Daisy, one of the biggest health concerns post menopause is osteoporosis. As estrogen declines, women can lose up to 20% of their bone density in the first 5 to 7 years after menopause. What preventative steps should women take to protect their bone health, and how early should they start thinking about this?
I think women should start thinking about their bone health the minute they get into adolescent years. Start eating nutrition, making sure you're eating high calcium meal, you're exercising, doing weightlifting, weight bearing exercise. And if you're more on the skinnier spectrum, you really want to work on building muscle. So starting in your 20s and 30s, that would just carry you into your 50s and postmenopause years easily. So nutrition is the first thing. Exercise, weight bearing is very important. When you're in your menopause years, getting on HRT is always an option. Not every woman wants to get on it. So I'm very cautious when I say that because there truly are women that don't want to. But being informed and educated as a choice is something to consider. Supplements is something that I am not a big supplement, but there are a few that I would say I do recommend, I think is good. A daily multivitamin is essential, something that you can add to your nutrition if you're nutrient deficient. Focusing on calcium, you can even consider creatine, which is good in muscle building. So taking those steps in your 20s and living a consistent life is what is important. In your later years, if you've not done that in your 20s and 30s, because a lot of people don't think about this until they're actually in the thick of it, you can start right where you are today. Start
Yeah.
going to the gym, start lifting weights, start eating better. Just start today, wherever you are in your journey.
Yeah, it's important to be proactive. Get ahead of the curve, I always say.
Absolutely.
Now, Lana, we've come a long way, but menopause is still a topic that's shrouded in stigma. We've been talking about demystifying those stigmas for quite some time on our series. For generations, women have been conditioned to suffer in silence, but we know that knowledge is power. How important is it to normalize conversations around menopause, and what can be done to shift the cultural narrative around this life stage?
Saying the word menopause, making people understand that it's not a bad part of our life. It's not like we're put out to pasture. We really are just experiencing a shift to get to that butterfly that we talked about. But having these type of regular conversations. I'm glad for Dr. Daisy's podcast too, just talking about it. I think that's the first thing. And that's why Tracy was saying she's shedding, she's crying, because she's just understanding what she was learning about. But I think the generation coming, because we're talking about it, they won't necessarily have the same confusion that we may have had, because these conversations are being had. In terms of a cultural shift, I think definitely, talking beyond the period conversation. We need to talk to our daughters, our nieces, our young women beyond the period. Talk about what happens next. What are you going to experience, and how you can prevent experiencing a lot of the symptoms, because you can actually prevent it. As Dr. Daisy said, if you didn't start, you can always start now. But it is, if you can start doing things before you're experiencing these symptoms, you can actually avoid a lot of the symptoms that many people have during menopause. So just having the conversations, and I don't think it's a bad thing to say. And it's not only just the conversation on menopause, the conversation on sex, sex, intimacy, not making it a negative word, not making it, oh, I can't talk in front of the children, that those are necessary parts of life that needs to be discussed. And so if we can openly have them without giggles, without the, I cannot stand when a lot of women start these conversations and laugh about it, because it's a serious conversation. Why are we making light of it by joking about it? So I think though, having all of those, that attitude towards menopause, sex, intimacy, is going to make the conversation a normal conversation to have, and that women can prepare for it. And even if they didn't, they can have an idea of what to do to minimize a lot of the symptoms that they experience.
That's great advice. Well, we are officially at the end of this incredible conversation. It needed to be had. And thank you so much, ladies, for being open, honest, and really empowering our audience. Tracy, was such a pleasure having you on. Lana, always incredible. And Dr. Daisy, thank you so much for the expertise that you bring to our panel always.
Absolutely.
For those tuning in, if this conversation resonated with you, share it, talk about it. Let's break the stigma. You can find Tracey Monique's book, Yo-Yo Finds Her Sparkle, on Amazon Prime. Dr. Daisy Ayim continues to educate and empower women through her Polished Beauty podcast. And of course, explore CO2 Lift V by Lumisk Skincare for solutions that help women feel their best at every stage of life. Thank you to our panel. Thank you to CO2 Lift V for making this conversation possible. And most importantly, thank you to all the women out there who are embracing this transition with courage. You are seen, you are heard, and you are powerful. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CO2 Lift. As we age, our skin loses moisture and elasticity, causing wrinkled skin. You can reverse this aging process with CO2 Lift. CO2 Lift utilizes the powerful benefits of carbon dioxide to lift, tighten, and regenerate your skin. This simple, painless at-home carboxytherapy treatment is scientifically proven to reverse the aging process. You will see reduction in wrinkles, increase in luminosity, and improve pigmentation, sagging, skin tone, and radiance.
For more information or to order CO2 Lift, ask your skincare professional or go to co2lift.com.